Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84. I hope you better hear me from this far away because I don't use a remote mic. I'm going to have a look at my Tamarillos in this video, a full Tamarillo video, and discuss what I'm planning to do with them. I've had them now, must be 2 or 3 years I've had them from seed, and they, as you'll probably know if you've been following my series and experiments with them, there's been no sign of any flowering on them yet. I've got to the point now where they have survived the winter without any problems, but this one, for example, here, if I stand up, you can't even see in the video, this plant is probably, even after being cut back, is well over 7 feet tall. Now, it's got an extremely thick stem on it. It's a good 2 inches thick, the trunk now. So these really are at a point where they should flower. Whether or not they're fruit's another matter. So I've got an issue with space with them and trying to find a way to force them to fruit. So they're badly overdue for repotting. I'll show you the size of the pot. That's the size pot it's in. I'm going to put it in, I'm going to move it into this size pot next. Now this is a 50 centimetre pot, and that is, just wondered if it had a literage on it. It hasn't got a literage on it, so I've no idea what gallon or litre size this is off the top of my head. I might add it on the video. So my plan today is to do a repot of the 3 plants, which I'll probably just show one of them being repotted on video, and then we're going to carry out some serious butchery on these. I'm planning to take this down to less than half its height, so it's only going to come down to about here, and the idea is to try and force it to produce side branches lower down and get it to more of a like a bushy shrub. And maybe because of the maturity of the stem and with fresh nice rich well-fed compost, maybe I can force them to flower this year. If I let this carry on growing, it's not a lot of use to me because it's going to end up being about 12 feet tall, at least sort of 12-13 feet, so about 4 metres tall. And if it was to flower late in the season, which it could do, and then I have to try and nurse the flowers and embryo fruits into the winter months, I'm not going to be able to put a 12-foot plant indoors anyway, where I've got nowhere. They won't fit in my summer house and they won't fit in my kitchen, so it would be no use, and I'd end up having to cut the height of the plant off, and if it's got flowers and fruits near the top, that's going to be no use whatsoever. So what I try and do is I'm going to take all of them down to about 3 or 4 feet. This one here has suffered bad winter damage on this side. The stem's all rotted here, but it actually seems surprisingly healthy on the other side of the stem. So on that basis, I think I'll probably take this down to about 3 feet and see if we can get them to bush out nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a repot on one of them first and show them in the pots, and then you can join me as I butcher the plants cruelly down to a low level, and I might even keep the top stems and dry them out and just see if by any chance I can root them, so I'll have spare Tamarillo plants. It'd be an interesting experiment to see if a stem this thick will root or not, be able to support itself, but whatever happens, I'll be cutting these back really hard today, and we'll see what result that brings out with the at the end of the summer. So I'll pause the video for now, and then we'll get on with the repotting. Well, here we are in my potting area now. I've got the camera a bit closer, you better hear me properly. So that's the pot that the plant's going into, and that's the pot size it's coming out of, so it's going up a fair bit. Can't easily show everything because of the size of the plant. So I'm using a mix of, I'm using quite a light, airy compost, lots of bark mixed into it for aeration and drainage, but I have added a food to it because I really need to get this plant going this year to have any chance of getting flowers or fruit on it. Excuse me, sneezing on camera. hay fever. So I think this will come out of the pot very easily because it's so pot bound. Yeah, I mean look, you can see why the growth rate has slowed down on it. It's not even going to be easy to tease the roots out, but I don't think I'll have to worry too much. So just going to get a bit of loose compost off the top. I don't want to mess around with the roots too much on these because they are very fragile on these plants. So let's see how we're doing height wise. Get that into there because I've already put a little bit of compost in the pot. That doesn't look too bad. Excuse me 1 minute. It can be a curse sometimes when you're a gardener having these hay fever and allergies. Should really take off in this large pot now. Very hungry, thirsty plants, because once the leaves get going they lose an awful lot of water through the leaf surface. The good news is we're not likely to have any problems with sun scorch on them because it's starting out with new growth obviously in summer, so there shouldn't be a serious problem with that. The idea of having that high bark compost is it should be a little bit, it shouldn't be too heavy. So we'll see what happens. Okay, now let's just put the camera back a little bit for you. Tilt it upwards, you can see what I'm planning to do on the stem. The plant itself, even it's been cut back heavily, was probably about 8 feet tall at one stage, and I've decided to take it back to this bit here is where it's previously been cold damaged and rotted, so it probably put on about 5 or 6 feet growth last year, so I've decided to take it back to about here. Now this is not a job that you can tackle with normal pliers, they're not even going to go through the stem. So what I've got here is a set of loppers to carry out this butchery, and let's see what happens. Now I've cut that off at a bit of an angle because that should cause the water to run off it, and that's the section I've cut off, so now you can see how much has come off it. Now I've noticed on videos on a couple of South American videos that they do like to seal the wounds on Tamarillos. I think they're prone to stem dieback. So what I'm going to do is paint. I've got a sort of this is an organic one. This is garlic barrier pruning paint. So I'm going to have a go at just sealing off the top of the stem to stop any, hopefully stop any viruses or diseases getting into the open stem. It's a nice pink colour, this one, so you can see where you've done it. I'll let that dry off, and if it needs another coat I'll give it another coat. And now, believe it or not, this stem here might be possible to root it, so what I'll do is cut off the leaves on the top here, and instantly there were no signs of flower buds on this at all. I'm going to cut off the leaves on the top, and we'll let this dry for a few days, and it might be possible to root it. So we'll see what happens. Now I'll pause the video there while I carry on with potting up the other two if I can, and then we'll come back to the finished article. Okay, so here we are, all three done. Now, as you can hopefully you can see on the video, I've taken them all back by about, well, 50% I suppose. Now we're going to have to give them a good watering, put them in a nice sunny position outside and keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. I said, obviously I'm hopeful that they'll all recover fine from the repotting. They've got much bigger pots now for the roots, plenty of food in the compost. Slightly concerned about this one that's got the sort of rot on one side, although it has gone hard, so I think it is only the one side of the stem. But these should start bushing out within a couple of weeks, all being well, subject to the weather. And obviously I will do some updates over summer and see if we could force maybe one of them into producing a few flowers later on in the summer. We'll see what happens. It's possible. It's possible. But then the challenge will be keeping them in a good condition for a few months until the fruit ripen. But should that happen, obviously I'll keep people updates who are interested. So thank you for watching. Sorry it's a bit disjointed, the video, and interrupted by my hay fever. But thanks for watching anyway. I do appreciate it. Obviously you can give me a thumbs up, share the video if you think anyone's interested in Tamarillos or tree tomatoes. I forget the Latin name at the moment. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, it'd be appreciated. And obviously if you want to follow what's going on with these Tamarillos and my other tropical, subtropical and unusual fruit plants, and remember to click on the bell so that you can know when new videos come out. I'll see you all in the next video. Brett out for now.